Rotational capacity, and in particular counter rotation in a distance runner is so important. And we're going to talk about an exercise today that we're going to use a lacrosse ball or half a lacrosse ball if you can manage to cut one in half safely, of course. But we're going to use a lacrosse ball to hit an area of the foot that, if it's tight and scarred down, it's not going to let us move the right way, as we're essentially not let our foot rotate the way it's supposed to rotate. So the reason why we're doing this is there's many joints in the foot, and the foot is very similar to the spine, where there's 32-ish backbones that need to be stabilized. Right? There's many joints in the back, especially the thoracic spine, where there's the ribs come into play here. So there's many different joints connecting each backbone to themselves above and below, to the backbone above and below the vertebra, where if we don't have the stability in the back, it's going to cause a lot of issues, not only in runners, but weightlifters, Olympic lifters, power lifters, right? So the foot is very similar to the back, where we need to have stability, and this counter rotation stability is so important, and we need to have it. So what we're going to do is, typically the outside of this foot is relatively stiff, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, where if we're going to do a single leg balance test, and I'm all over the place, especially if you see me, I'm way on the outside of my foot here, and I can't really keep the ball, I can't get my big toe on the ground. This is a big sign that we have to do this. So a great test you can do is, hey, I'm going to stand here, and if I'm really on the outside and I can't get my big toe on the ground, then this is especially this big toe joint here, this is a huge indicator that, hey, I need to probably spend some time releasing this area, because this big toe is very important to be able to create this counter rotation, this internal or rotation that we need of the hip. So what we're going to do is, if you have a smaller foot, you might do very well with the half lacrosse ball. I have a bigger foot, so I'm going to use the full size lacrosse ball. But essentially, we're going to use this to help break up some of these outside and lateral muscles here. So I'm going to place the ball down. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to put my foot on it, and the foot's going to be on the outside. So again, we're here. I'm just trying to kind of find a spot on the outside that it's relatively tender, or it feels stiff. And again, you want to be more of this outside area here, right underneath that ball of the foot, just trying to find a spot. And I got one right there. And all I'm going to do is rotate my hips while I'm on this spot. So my foot is nice and straight. I'm right over top of the lacrosse ball, and I'm going to rotate my hips on top of it, again, working on, hey, this is almost basically a mulligan mobilization of mobilizing with movement. And I love this because it's that movement that we're going to be going through while we are running, this counter rotation. And we're just putting that pressure on there and moving my hip, moving my pelvis as I have that pressure there. If you want, you can expand, open your toes, close them as well. Another way to work out that area. Move it a little bit down, just a centimeter, nothing crazy. Oh man, this spot is super tender on me. Moving side to side, doing a set of 10. Move the ball a little over to the side one way. Say, oh, yep, that's it. You can add the toe motion in there as well, right? And to help, you can stop and just add some toe motions. You can add the toes up and down while you're rotating. Have some fun with this. But spending 2 minutes total, whatever, you can move different areas in those 2 minutes, but feel free to really explore around this bottom of the foot. And I'll use the single lacrosse ball here, or the half lacrosse ball. And it's just easier if you have a smaller foot to keep that heel on the ground. And this is actually a little too easy for me. Yeah, it's just too easy. But if you have a smaller foot, maybe a women's size 6 or below, size 7 or below, it's going to work very well with you. But again, this is a fantastic mobilization we can do to improve the mobility of the outside structures here, to allow that big toe to get on the ground. And I encourage everybody, hey, test and retest this. Start with a single leg balance. See how it feels. If you're really rolling on the outside of that foot, do this for 2 minutes, retest it again. And the goal is, I want to be able to balance on one leg, not be going all over the place on the outside, because when we're there, we can't get that big toe down. Now this actually feels a lot easier to be able to say, hey, I can really push that toe down and not feel like I'm going to rotate or fall right off it to the side. Again, this has been the lacrosse ball release of the outside of the foot.